professional keynote speakers, emerging new speakers, experienced leaders, and any other passionate individual sharing their life stories. Here at Global Speakers Talk, every voice matters and every journey is definitely honored. We celebrate both seasoned professionals and those taking their very first step because this is a stage that believes in giving equal opportunity, equal respect, and equal visibility. We are so grateful for all the souls who have supported and shaped this community from the early days of Global Speakers Talk until today. Each one of you carries a story of dedication, love, and absolute unwavering support. And if you feel connected to this mission and want to get involved, simply drop a message in the chat because Global Speakers Talk stands strong because you, every single one of you, stand along with us. This community grows because people like you choose to grow with us. In today's session, we talk about affirmations. Some positive words. Simply put, nice words, right? Nice words we tell ourselves, nice words we want to remind ourselves, but affirmations are also energy. They are intentions. They are the seeds we plant in our subconscious to shape who we become. Every speaker you will hear today carries a message that aligns with this absolute powerful truth. When we speak with purpose, we shape our reality. That said, we have so much more to hear for today. And up next on our virtual stage is an award winning author, inspirational speaker, and a resilience advocate who has defied expectations and achieved greatness. Born with a physical disability, he was told he might never walk, but he proved them wrong, completing the Tele 10, earning 3 college diplomas, and launching Crocker's transformative thinking to help others unlock their inner strength. Join me once again in welcoming and sharing our love and attention to Sheldon S. Crocker.
Hello. Thank you
Hello,
for
Sheldon. How are you doing today?
great. Thank you for having me.
We're excited to hear what you have in store for us, so please feel free to take it away.
Thank you for being here with me today. I'm truly grateful to be a part of the third annual Global Speakers Talk International Live Conference. And I'm especially grateful for the chance to speak about something that shaped my life more than anything I ever expected. The voice inside. We all have a voice inside. Because long before our achievements, long before our confidence, long before we ever step into the world each day, we're already living inside a story we didn't even realize we were telling ourselves. So let me ask you this gently. What story are you living inside of right now? Not the story others see, not the one you present online. I mean the private story, the one that whispers to you when things get quiet. You know, for most of my life, that inner voice wasn't kind. It told me I wasn't enough. It told me I wouldn't amount to anything. It told me that being born different meant being born less than. Self talk isn't just commentary, it's construction. It builds the identity that you walk around with. And if your inner voice was shaped by comparison, trauma, or survival, like mine was, then you've been living under a weight you never chose. But here's the truth I had to learn: you cannot grow inside a strong version of yourself using the language that broke you. Most people think negative thoughts are random. They're not. They loop, they repeat, they settle in like wallpaper you stop noticing. The moment I learned that affirmations weren't feel good lines, but pattern interrupters, everything's changed for me. An affirmation is a doorway. It's you saying, I don't have to stay in this old room anymore. Instead of repeating, I'm broken, I began saying, I'm becoming someone stronger every day. Instead of people see my disability, I told myself, my worth is bigger than what the world sees. When you repeat a sentence long enough, your brain starts believing it. And when your brain believes something, your life begins rearranging itself around that belief. There was a period in my life when everything felt impossible. And I really don't say that lightly. I'm talking about the days when I woke up with no sense of direction, the nights when addiction wrapped itself around every thought I had, the weeks where home was every place I could find to stay warm for a few hours. I remember one night in particular. It was cold, the kind of cold that gets into your bones and makes you question how much more you can take. I was sitting outside a building downtown, my back against the concrete, my mind foggy from drinking, my body tired from carrying years of pain that I didn't know how to name. And in that moment, when everything in me wanted to give up, the only words I could manage were, I'm still here. It wasn't powerful. It wasn't polished. It wasn't the kind of affirmation you find in a book, but it was the truth I needed in that second. It was the thread that kept me from slipping away entirely. The one small sentence became the first brick in rebuilding a life I wasn't sure I deserved yet. And even though I didn't know it at the time, repeating, I'm still here, was the beginning of choosing myself again. And that's the thing about affirmations. They don't always start as bold declarations. Sometimes they start as survival. I once met a woman who had been in and out of addiction recovery for years. She carried shame like a heavy coat and said to me, I keep failing because I'm weak. Well, I invited her to try a new statement. I'm learning to stand again. She repeated it daily, sometimes every hour, and over time she didn't suddenly become free of cravings, but she did become free of believing she was hopeless. When shame loosens its grip, she began making choices from strength instead of fear, and that's when her recovery finally held. You might ask, why do these stories matter? These transformations didn't happen from luck. They happened because belief, even the smallest belief, was repeated long enough to take root. Belief isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline, and repetition is what strengthens it. The right words, spoken consistently, can rebuild a life from the inside out. I've lived that truth. I've witnessed it in others, and that is the power of affirmations. So here's a simple, grounded way to build affirmations that truly work, or at least I believe they do. Not the fluffy kind, not the unrealistic kind, but the kind that changes how you think, how you show up, and how you live. 13 simple steps, actually. That's what I have anyway. Step one, start with one area for your life. Affirmations work best when they're focused. So ask yourself a simple question. What part of my life needs strength right now? Is it confidence, healing, boundaries, money, self worth, maybe living with a disability? Choose one. That's where your affirmation begins. Step two, be honest about the self talk you already hear. Before we create a new belief, we have to understand the old one. Think about the thoughts that show up in that area. I always mess things up. I'm a burden. I'll never get ahead. These might be uncomfortable to say out loud, but honesty is the foundation of real change. Step three, find a desire behind the negative thoughts. Every painful thought points towards something we want. If the thought is, I'm a burden, the desire is to feel valued. If the thought is, I always fail, the desire is to feel capable. And this desire becomes the seed of your affirmation. Step four, make the affirmation believable. Your mind will reject what feels too far away. So instead of saying, I'm fully confident and unstoppable, say, I'm learning to trust myself a little more each day. Real change begins when what your mind can accept. Step five, speak to who you're becoming. Affirmations work when they shape identity. Use phrases like, I am learning to, I'm becoming someone who, I'm beginning to believe that. This tells your mind where you're headed, even if you're not there yet. Step six, add emotion to the words. An affirmation is not just a sentence, it's a feeling. Say it slowly, let it land, let the body soften for a moment. When you add emotion, your mind listens. Step seven, tie your affirmation to purpose. We all have some purpose, even if we don't really know what it is right now. Ask yourself, why does this matter to me? Maybe it's so you can show up for others. Maybe it's to heal. Maybe it's to build a future that feels safe and strong. When you connect your affirmation to your purpose, it becomes unstoppable. Step eight, keep it simple. If you can't say it easily, you won't say it consistently. Short, clear, Everyday language works best. Your mind loves clarity. Step 9. Say it out loud and notice how your body reacts. If your affirmation feels impossible, soften it. If it feels like a stretch, but still possible, then you found the right one. Step 10. Choose when you'll repeat it. Affirmations work through repetition, just like brushing your teeth or tying your shoes. Pick 2 daily moments when you'll repeat it. For me, I like to say them before I go to bed or in the morning. Mornings and evenings while making a cup of tea. The power is in your consistency. Step 11. Add one tiny action that matches your affirmation. Words become stronger when you live them out, even in small ways. If your affirmation is about confidence, speak up once tomorrow. If it is about healing, take one small step to support your well being. Tiny action builds solid foundation. Step 12. Look for proof, no matter how small. At the end of the day, ask yourself, what did I do today that fits with my affirmation? Write down even the smallest evidence. Over time, you'll see how much you've grown. And step 13, let your affirmation evolve. As you grow, your affirmation grows with you. What begins as I'm learning to can eventually become I am someone who shows up with strength and purpose. That's the power of affirmations. They help you become the person you're stepping into. So, a few examples. For example, for confidence, I'm learning to trust myself more each day so I can show up, make a real difference. For living with a disability, I'm beginning to believe that my needs matter and I deserve care, respect, and support. Or for healing and recovery, I'm becoming someone who chooses what supports my healing, one decision at a time. Affirmations saved my life long before I ever taught about them. But I learned everything the slow way. No guidance, no structure, just pain and persistence. So before I end, I want to leave you with something that continues to shape my life every day. Talk to yourself the way you would talk to someone you love. If someone you care about came to you scared, overwhelmed, or ashamed, you wouldn't judge them. You wouldn't tear them down. You wouldn't tell them they're not enough. You'd take a breath, sit with them, and say, I'm with you. You're capable. You're worth the effort. And you deserve to hear the same words yourself. You deserve gentleness. You deserve compassion. You deserve a voice that supports the life you're trying to build. Your inner voice is either your anchor or your wings. And today, you get to choose which one carry you forward. So thank you for being here with me today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for giving yourself permission to begin rewriting the voice inside you. Affirmations are not magic words. They are daily reminders of who you are becoming. And every one of us is growing into something stronger, clearer, and more grounded than we were before.
Thank you so much, Sheldon, for that wonderful talk that you gave us just now. And I like that you gave us actual steps that worked for you. Sometimes there are these like big thoughts, big general thoughts that we have about affirmations, about meeting our higher self, meeting our most improved self. But sometimes all of these thoughts can be very cluttered or all over the place. So to hear them in very actionable steps laid out very nicely, I think that's very, very much helpful to us, Sheldon. So thank you so much for that. And I do have one question. I think we are coming from a space, our speakers and some of our chatters right now, where somehow affirmation already works for us, probably not as effective or not as where we would want to be, but somehow we are practicing it in one way or another, right? But somehow while I was listening to you and you were telling a story about your life story rather, couldn't help but think that somehow some way probably someone would encounter the live recording and would be like absolutely skeptic, oh, those things don't work. They're just ways that people make you try to make you feel better. Some people are just earning money from it and all. There are skeptics, that's for sure. If you would, if say for example, a skeptic is listening up until this point in our talk right now, whether it's right here in this live or in the future when they're checking out the recording, what is the first step that you personally would like them to take, or a first thought that you'd want them to have to hopefully kind of like gear them a step forward into believing that, this is something that I can embody. This is something that I can slowly follow step by step.
Well, thank you for the very good question. I would say what my first step is the first place to start. Just start with one area of your life and give it a try. I mean, it's either you try it or you don't try it. If the results are not, if the results don't change, then it didn't change for you. But
Right.
I would just say start with what part of your life needs strength right now, and to give it a try. Because
Give it a
if you don't
try.
start, if you don't start at the beginning, and you need, it's not going to work.
Absolutely. So, yeah, thank you so much, Sheldon, for answering that question. For also future listeners, who might be skeptical about the power of affirmation. Once again, thank you for your time and for sharing your life
Thank
story
you.
and your steps with us.